Okay.
It is time to make tin dinners, and we've already got things prepared here. Steve has cut up some onions, some carrots. You can see that they're sliced thinly and of consistent size. You don't want like 500 different sizes where they're all inconsistent and some are super fat. Then you'll end up with some crunchy raw ones and some overcooked ones. The same is true with your potatoes, and the potatoes and carrots, you'll note, are about the same thickness. Potatoes cook a little faster, so they could be a little bit thicker. We got some green beans here. Oh, some beans. They're not just green. So excited. We got the ewe meat for the people who are going to eat that. We got butter, some toppings, some things that you're going to use to make your sauce, basically, or your spicing. Dressing, and you know, if there's something that you've missed, you can grab a knife and chop it up, as Ron is doing right here with the garlic, which hadn't been prepared. Lowry's seasoned salt, I missed that one in the and onion salt, I missed those in the
well, you know, and whatever you're doing it at home. You have access to everything, so we're going to start with some of the basics here. Tin dinners are great in that you can always experiment, do it the way you want to. That's the whole joy of it.
Woohoo! All right, so how do we get started?
All right, so for those using meat, the meat will provide fat, which is going to help cook the rest of the food in the tin dinner. I always add some butter to mine for flavor and to have a little extra of that grease, a little extra moisture, just to help things move along. That's a big part of cooking the food in the tin dinner. The two components you really need for it to cook successfully is moisture and a decent seal. The decent seal helping keeping your moisture in. If you get a really good seal on folding your tin foil, you'll see your tin dinner puff up. And that means that you're almost making a little pressure cooker. You know, you're really keeping that moisture inside and cooking the food. So that's a big part of it. If you're not going to be a meat eater, you know, if you're a vegetarian like Shari, you want to make sure to add even more. That's why we've got some olive oil. We've got plenty of butter. If you're going to add a little something like soy sauce or ketchup, you're going to be adding moisture. So that's good. Again, do this all to what you want in yours. So what I would do for mine, I'd just start out with a couple of pats of butter. Just get them out there. Yeah, maybe three. Three should probably be enough. Now, the way we've done it at Cabin Weekend, and the way I think when you're in a mixed household like we are, is that I'm not going to touch meat until the end. When I was first making these, scout camp and earlier on, it would always be meat first. I'd make a meat patty, lay it down, and then throw stuff on top of it. The meat patty can go on top, so no big deal. I'm just going to start out with some potatoes, spread them out a little bit. We have some little tiny fingerling potatoes, so I'm going to try a few of those in here. Just kind of mix it up. We got these at the farmer's market, so they're very small. You know, you really got to be careful about how big these are. And this is, again, very experimental. So I'm going to try and make sure we got plenty of a good seal to be able to cook those. That seal also means you can cook it longer without the possibility of it burning. And that's really, really helpful. I'm just going to add some carrots. A few more potatoes. I think I'm leaving plenty for everybody else. And now I'm going to throw on some onion into mine. Now I discovered a while back, and yeah, I'll use a couple bits of garlic here just to add some flavor. I discovered a few years back that I really love soy sauce and cashews, and I'm going to grab some cashews from our cabinet here. You know, I could just imagine putting some peanuts or peanut butter in here too, to kind of, and a little soy sauce, kind of give it that flavoring. So I'm just gonna throw some of these on here. That looks a little weird, so I'm just taking it. Yeah, I'm not gonna put any peanut butter on mine. Thank you. I mean, if you can, again, making sure you have a good seal and enough other moisture is gonna help keep that. Peanut butter can get really. The peanut butter gets kind of odd in this. You know, the oils separate from the peanut butter a lot, and you're left with kind of this clumpy, odd stuff. But anyway, let's see. Yeah.
How big a piece of foil do we need?
Oh, the one I've got here is probably about 18 inches long. If you want to make it a little bigger, to make a bigger meal, just make a bigger piece of foil. Alright, I'm going to add some soy sauce.
Shiny side up.
Shiny side up, which means shiny side in. Uh-oh, I think we're out of soy sauce. I don't think anyone else does this with theirs here in our household, so luckily I can just pop the top off here and put the last little bits of this in. Baron likes A1 on his burger sometimes, so we're going to grab some A1 here for him.
I crossed out the A1.
And throw a few of these green beans in there.
Some popular things at Cabin Weekend that people have put in include leftovers. People have put in leftover chili, leftover sausages.
It's a great vehicle for leftovers. Sausages, yeah, that was always something in our scout troop. We always usually ended up with some of that. So let's see, we got a pound of hamburger here, so I'm gonna probably take about a third of it.
And how do you does your meat need to be in one big piece?
You know, if it's real thick, you know, your insides aren't necessarily going to get cooked as much. Also, I like to, you know, like make kind of a long, narrow patty, because then as the fats on the meat get, you know, come out, it'll be evenly spread throughout the rest of the meal.
Some people
Alright,
like
so
to
I'm
rip it
gonna
up
do that.
into little meat chunks.
Yep.
Almost like meatballs.
You can do little
but they're-
meatballs in there very easily. You could do one big patty. You could get creative. And certainly you can look at other kinds and cuts of meat. There's no reason why you couldn't cut up a pork chop or some steak or throw in some chicken. You know, if you're doing chicken, it doesn't have a real high fat content. Again, make sure you're supplementing with some olive oil and butter as you get that in there. For those who cook chicken a lot more often, you'll probably know a little more about how you make your chicken turn out yummy. So anyhow, the next part here, I've got this stuff on. I'm going to go ahead and add a little tiny bit of salt. Now I don't need a whole lot because I've got a lot in that soy sauce, so I'm going to only add a tiny bit there, but I am going to add some pepper. Get a little zing. And now I'm going to wrap it up. Here's my method, and this can be tricky. So I try to, you know, be real careful about wrapping this up. One of the reasons is you're going to get that good seal, which is going to help it cook. And I usually fold it over once, and you got to be careful about sliding along the edges of tinfoil. Can cut real easy.
Tinfoil cuts suck and bleed.
Oh, they are horrible. But once you get it kind of, and I'm using like the tips of my fingers and my knuckles to kind of wrap in and get that folded over real nice. And then I'm going to layer that down, turn it a little bit so I can start kind of wrapping in the sides. I just fold it over.
Is it more of a roll or more of a fold?
Really, I'm folding. I'm folding.
I tend to fold the first part,
Yeah,
the
and
first piece, and then roll the rest.
I try not to get the first side I do too tight, because I'll pick this up, give it a little shake, and kind of move some things that direction to kind of pack it in there, and also to kind of keep straggles, because the stuff on the ends, the outside edges, can kind of straggle. If you're trying to fold that last fold and you got a piece of potato in there, it's going to come right through your tin foil. So again, I'm just coming in
wrapping. Okay. Once you get that first layer done, I like to kind of feel around these outside edges, look for pokey bits of tin foil in that inner wrapping, and kind of just push those in. Because again, any tin foil's wussy. Anything halfway hard with any bit of a point will go right through it. So then you turn over, so you have your folded side down on the second piece. Try to get it kind of centered as best as possible. And you can kind of a little off. Okay. There we go. And again, I'm going to do about the same thing on this side. Try to get it nice and evened up. Give it a fold over. I just give it a little pat there. Being careful not to slide where the ends of the foil are. Do not want one of those foil cuts. They stink. Get it down there. You don't have to get it super tight. Just want to make, in the folding, there's a little bit of wiggle room in here. That's fine. Just come down, smooth down the sides, outside edges, and fold them over 2 or 3 times. Again, you don't have to get too tight. If you get too tight, then you're going to be pressing against that inner layer of foil that can poke through.
So snug, but not too tight.
Yep. And this also gives a little bit of room for the foil to puff out if you get that good seal. And you definitely want that. Okay. So, let's see a spot here where the outer foil did get punctured by, there's a spot right there, it did get punctured by a rough spot at the foil underneath. Well, c'est la vie. There you go. We could do 2 layers because if you get a little bit of leak, the other layer can stop it. So, alright, that's it. At this point, you might want to mark it if you're having multiples on the grill and you're not all making them all different. So I'm just going to put a big ST for Steve because SH is for Shari. And there we go. That is my basic how-to for tin dinners.
Could you give us a brief cooking?
Oh, okay. So,
because there's fire, there's grill, and there's oven.
Yep. By fire, we mean coals from a fire, not fire itself. You don't want to throw this on an open fire. It's just too crazy. But if you get a good bed of coals from a wood fire, you're looking at, probably 12 minutes first side, 10 minutes second. If you're using charcoal, that stuff burns a little hotter. You can go 10 and 8, 10 minutes first side, 8 on the second after you flip it. Then I think in the oven, you can do 350, and you don't really need to flip it if it's in the oven. Feel free to flip it. Maybe the grease settles down at the bottom and you flip it and it gets flipped to the other side. But you're probably looking at about 20 minutes in the oven at 350, but you could give it a little more, especially if you're a little concerned. Again, one of the reasons why I'm so meticulous in how I fold it is that if things don't go well and I open it up and things aren't cooked to my satisfaction, if I'm careful folding this to begin with, I can open it without making too much damage to the structural integrity of the tinfoil. And so if I find I want to cook longer, I can refold everything, package it back up, put it back on the fire or in the oven or back in the grill if you really need to.
Gas grill. Timing?
Yeah, gas grill, I'd go the same 10-8 at bare minimum. If you have a temperature gauge on your grill and you can get it close to 350, that's great. If it's a little warmer, you can probably go a little on that 10-8 side. If it's closer to 350, then I'd probably go a little closer to the 12-10. Something like that.
Okey-doke.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.